Alrighty, everybody, welcome to the studio, and thank you for joining me on this Wednesday live stream. Sadiq says, I've been looking forward to tonight's session. I have too. I've been waiting. Tonight we're going to paint this guy up here. This is October. I think we've waited long enough. It's officially Halloween season now. So we can start to do some of those kind of Halloween-y, kind of spooky kind of paintings. I think we'll start out with a raven. It's a nice segue into it. It's obviously a harbinger of the Halloween season, but not too spooky or not too scary. It's a great way to start. Lala's art is here. I'm glad you made it. So let's see where I want to start. The paper that I'm using. This is actually an old sheet of paper. This is Fabriano paper. Sherry's here. Hello. I've got my reference photo over there. I've got that from the website Pixabay. If you've ever gone there, it's got an absolute ton of royalty-free images that you can use, and that's where I get many of mine from. So that's there. The paints that I'm using over here on my right-hand side are the ones I've been using for so long now. These are my M-gram paints, and let's see, tonight, well, I guess tonight is going to be no different. I'm going to continue to use my, well, gosh, look, it's all worn off. You can't even see it, my King art brushes. I do have a bit of an announcement for you, though, that we'll get into in just a second. But let's talk about what we're going to do with our raven here. I recently did a painting of a dog that was black and white. I've got, well, it's not quite done. I've got it over there in the studio. I'll show it to you later if you all want to see it. And I kind of mixed a neutral gray and used that as a base, and then went darker black over top of it. I thought it turned out really well. It brought out some of the highlights. I think that's what I'm going to do again this time. I've painted ravens before, and I've done it with a mix of greens and reds to make a gray, and it comes out with a really kind of an interesting color pattern. But I think for tonight, I'm going to take the neutrals that I have on my palette. They're the ones down in the corner down here. I've got some sepia down here. I've got some neutral tint down here, and I've got a little bit of Paynes Gray, and I'm going to get a nice mixture of those. maybe a little bit on the warmer side. But if I want to cool it down, I'll just use my neutral tint a little bit. And here's what I've got going on. You can see I've got a nice big puddle of it over here, and I'm going to use that as the basis for this. And I'm going to paint this on just about everything on this bird to start. Who's here? Dawn is here. Hello. And Natalie is here, and Dana is here. Hello. I'm glad you all could make it. So I'm just gonna put a base coat on here, and I'm gonna try to do this fairly quickly, and I'm not gonna worry about getting exactly out to the edge, because I'm gonna do a little treatment on that anyways when we get close to the to being done. And I'm gonna go everything except for right around the eye, or right in the eye. I'm gonna go exactly around the eye. I guess that's how you say that. And you can see that what I've got here, which is again just a mix of some neutral tint, and you know what I need to do though? I need to get a little bit bigger brush. I'm going to grab a little bit bigger brush and make this go a little bit faster. Where's my big brush? Here we go. So this is the number 12. And I'm just going to really slather this on with a lot of water. There we go. And then this beautiful gray that these three develop together is going to be the underpinning of this painting. It's going to end up being the highlights that you see, kind of this shimmering off of the gray feathers. Let's see. Darn button. Hey, no, what are we talking about, buttons? I don't know. Okay. Anyway, we've got a nice crowd here already. I'm glad to see everybody is in the chat and busily saying hello to everybody. I hope you all had a wonderful weekend. I've had a pretty good week this week, and I will say I am happy to be painting in front of you all this evening. Does my heart well to be here tonight. I really do look forward to this. I think I told you before, my wife even has gotten to the point where she goes, I think you just need to go out and paint. You're always in such a good mood when you're done. Just get out there and paint and have some fun with what you're doing. And I'm going to say, okay, I'm just going to follow her lead and go with it. Let's see. I don't need to be super precise on this tail here. Looks like I've forgotten to draw a few lines, but that's okay. Something like that will be totally fine. We got something going past here. What do we got? Lala says, Michael, I am interested in how you get the depth of color. I'm working on a ceramic ocarina. Oh, my eyes hurt. Ocarina, a crow, and wonder about the color. Okay, so how do you build up? So let me ask a clarifying question. Are you asking how I get depth of color, or how in general you get depth of color? I ask that, and I guess they're not necessarily a big difference in the answer, but there could be a little difference in the answer. You were thinking about the color black, and this is a perfect question. So for me, well, I guess I'll answer this two ways, right? Or I'll take a stab at it in two different ways, and if somebody else wants to throw something out there, then that's okay. I'm just going to put on a few lines here. Actually, I can't go back up there any further. And now that I know that I can't go up here because that's starting to dry out, I've got to do a little damage control here. I'm going to pull this down, maybe push that up a little bit. This won't really matter in the end. It'll just give us the indication of where the bottom of that wing is. How you are going to go about it. Okay, how I am going to go about it. Okay, so how I'm going to go about it is a couple of different ways. First of all, I want to mix a light, this layer, that is dark enough to show through and give some color to the lightest areas, but dark enough so that there's some interest in some color there. Tracy's here. Hello. And second of all, I'm not going to stray too far out of this color grouping that I have. I will add some black. Oh shoot, I was going to actually grab my tube of black because I've got some here, and push the limit of what the darks are, because the only way, right, see this light spot up here, I don't know that this is going to stay, but you can see this whole area is pretty light. The only way I can make that look light on the page is by making my darks dark. So let's do this. Here's my reference photo. Okay, so if I look at that, you can see along the tail and the top of the feathers, or the top of the feathers on the wing, right, which are basically on the raven's back, there are some pretty light areas in there. Right? They're still dark, they're still black-ish, but they're very light. And then if you look just under the wing and just on the underside of the feathers on this bird's tail, under its chin, around the front of its eye, there are some very dark areas in there. And by making those darks dark, you make the lights light and you get that big depth of color, in addition to the layering of color. So as an example, while I'm waiting for this to dry, this is a great question, by the way. Let me grab these two. I'm going to grab two things. So we're working with black right now, and here's the dog that I was doing, right? In the reference photo showed that this dog has some dark just above its eyes, on the top of its ear, and then underneath its ear here. And you can see this is already, I don't know if this is 2 or 3 layers. Parts of this have to be 3 layers. Already I'm starting to build up those dark areas, right? So this one probably isn't going to have the depth that this one will have, but I'll come back again and I'll redarken this area up. I'll darken up the area around the chin. I'll darken up underneath the ear. I'll do the same thing on this side. Darken up around the eye, down the jowls, under the ear. You can see the areas that I've already started to darken. And then I won't touch these areas all that much, right? These will stay a lot lighter. Same thing on the nose, right? The nose, it's dark. You can see it's a black nose, but there's light shining on it. So this area has to be lighter than the areas down here. So this is exactly 2 layers. This lighter area is the first layer, and this darker area is the second layer. So when I go and put on a 3rd layer and it's even darker, I've begun to build up those darks in a nice graduated fashion. Probably I'm explaining a little too much. And here's the other one I've been working on, which is this parrot. And you can see kind of in here, right underneath these feathers down here, to get the depth that I want, I need to make this darker underneath, which pushes that tail back, and then this feather and these feathers, and to an extent these other feathers, come forward, and that helps bring out the depth in the painting. So a little bit here too, and some for the wing here. You can see here that blue goes underneath and these feathers come out over the top. So that's basically how I do it. Is I make sure I look at my reference photo. I'm not trying to completely duplicate the reference photo, but I want to pay homage to it. So I'm going to make my dark areas generally where they're dark on the reference photo and make them dark on my painting. I hope that answers the question. And I've taken up almost enough time for this to dry. Let's see. I think there was another question in here. Was there? Liza showed up and said hello. We have Sherry. We have lots of ravens here on Vancouver Island. They're huge, 25 overhead. You can hear the massive whoosh of their wings. So we have ravens here too, but we have a lot of vultures here. And one of the coolest things, I was climbing one of the hills. I was with my son. We were climbing one of the hills that's really close here, and I guess we were climbing down the windward side, and the vultures were catching the thermals up that side, so they would go right over us about, I would say they were 5, 6, 7 feet over our head. And yeah, as they're shifting their wings like this to catch the air, you can totally hear their feathers rubbing together. It was really cool. It was really cool. Eliza, you were thinking about black, so you're excited about this. Let's see. So Lala, let me know if that answered your question. Oops, I got to scroll down. Tracy, you love ravens especially because of the iridescent colors. Yes. So this one's not going to get those iridescent colors. Whoops, I'm out of focus. If I were to do this and take a long time to do it, hours and hours and hours, I would use a mixture of probably Phthalo Green and what's the red here that everybody uses? Alizarin Crimson, and those two would make a gray, and then I would darken it from there with probably a little bit of neutral tint, and in so doing you would get a lot of that crazy red green play that would be an undertone. And I've done that, and it kind of turns out really cool. I didn't quite know if we would have enough time to do that tonight, so I'm doing it this way, and that's okay. There's no wrong way to do it. You can still turn out a cool painting regardless of how you do it. Still a little bit damp here, so I'm going to keep talking. Susie says, love the colors in the parrot. The parrot kind of turned out nice. I'm not quite done with it. I've probably got another half an hour to 40 minutes on that, plus a background if I'm going to put one on there. But thank you. Lala says, thank you so much for taking the time to help you understand. I hope that, Lala, if that doesn't explain it, just let me know. I'll answer it again differently, or if you've got a similar question and you're too nice to say you didn't answer it right, just ask the similar question and I'll just answer it. Liza says, fun question for Michael. Okay, Michael, if you could be a bird, which bird would I be? I would so if you're going to ask me right now, I would probably be a California condor. We have some not far from here. From time to time, they fly over, and I just love the fact that once they're in the air, well, first of all, they're gigantic, and they're so cool to look at and to see. But once they get in the air, I just think that the feeling of almost floating right in the air, being able to ride those thermals, would be such a cool feeling that I don't know that I'd be able to pass it up. That would be my answer. Maybe not a California condor, but I live here and condors are only 30 miles away. 30 miles away. You're down, Lala says, you're down SoCal. I'm in Central California, coastal Central California. That's where I'm at. Okay, so this is still a little bit wet. So I'm going to share with you a nice thing that has happened, and I'm going to do this. So a while ago, you all remember that I was approached by a brush manufacturer to sponsor some brushes, and they sent me some that were, I don't even have them on my desk over here. They were not what I asked for, and I got them, and I didn't like them all that much. Well, they reapproached me and said would you be willing to take a look at some other brushes for us? And they sent them to me, and they didn't send the ones I asked for. They didn't tell me what they were going to send me. They just said, we have some, would you like to take a look at them? So these are them. I don't know if I should tell you the company quite yet. There will be a video coming out of using these and my impression of these. First of all, but I painted the dog painting with these, and I'll just tell you my general impression is I would get something like this that is squirrel hair, and when you get it wet, it just bends and stays bent. But these have a lot more spring in them, much more like, and they're actually quite nice to use. So be on the lookout for these, and they've given me, if you guys want to buy any of them, they've given me coupon codes for everybody to use to try. I don't even know what the price is on them at the moment, but be on the lookout for that. Aliz says, forgive me, I'm in upper Northern California and knew we were in the same state. Yeah, so you're probably way up there. I'll never get that far up there. I don't leave my little conclave here very often. I love it here. It's very temperate. The people are nice. It's almost always sunny. No sound. Okay. Hold on a second. Sudika, you can still hear. I was going to say, I'm looking up there, and it looks like my sound is still on. I don't know what the issue is. Patty 5D. It. It. Patty, I like the enthusiasm. I'm not sure. You still hear? Okay, so enough people can still hear me. I'm sorry for anybody who can't. Sound is better when you're closer to the mic. I can pull the mic real close if you'd like. Natalie, just getting blips of sound. That sucks. I'm looking at my tools, my broadcast tools. This one says it's good. My connection on YouTube says it's good, and my audio and video says it's good. Well, I'm going to hope it catches back up. Okay, I'm going to mix a little bit more of this mixture. I don't necessarily need it thicker, but now's when I like to go in and start defining shapes. I've got one layer done. Now what I want to do is I want to look at the bigger shapes. Okay, I want to look at the bigger masses. Where's the biggest mass of dark in here? And for me, if I look, it's probably too dark there. It's right underneath this wing. Right, this whole area underneath here is pretty dark, right? And I want to try to paint in as large an area as possible. So this whole area is going to get a bit of dark color for its second coat, and this is going to come pretty much up to here. I just don't want to let it get a dry tide line. So everything up to here-ish gets a second coat of paint. I'm not going to paint that back leg quite yet, and I am going to blend this edge out very simply, very easily, as far as it needs to go to get a nice smooth blend. I got a little too much water on my brush. There we go. That's for those of us in chat who lost sound. Oh, okay. It's still cutting. Sound is better when you're closer to the mic. I'm getting just blips, blips, blips. Thank you. I'm going out and we'll try to come back. And it fixed it. Susie says, you restarted YouTube and sound is back. Got out, came back in to get sound back. Interesting. I wonder if YouTube had some big blip in one of its servers or something like that. Okay. Anyways, so we've got a large dark area here. Right? Just a nice, nothing special about it, just some dark. So the same dark mixture. Got it in here, and as I'm looking, it kind of comes up here a little bit more. This is actually, I have to say, when I was trying to duplicate, right? When I was trying to duplicate, so I don't advocate duplicating an image anymore. When I was trying to duplicate pictures, right? Do a photorealistic or a copy of, this would make me nuts. But now I just kind of want to get things close and pay homage to this thing. I'm a lot freer to put color on, and if it goes on perfect, great, right? Perfect. If it goes on not perfect, great. I can work with it. I'm not trying to duplicate that. I'm trying to pay homage to that. So, all right, here we go. Got my black. It goes out. It basically follows that dark outline that's there. Let's see. There's a question here. Are you who are having problems on the East Coast by chance? Another live earlier was having a hard time with connection above North Carolina. Well, Natalie's not in the East Coast. Natalie's out here in the West. Sure, I'm 8N, a poor service area tonight. Bicycle Repairman is here. Hello, welcome. Long time no see. Long time no see. I'm glad you're here. Okay, so I'm going to continue with this, just looking at our bird up there and trying to find the darker areas. Right, this is just a mix of these three colors. Again, same three colors we used. Sepia, I gotta think here. Sepia, neutral tint, and Paynes Gray. Just a mixture of those three. I'm going to stay away from the beak, but I'm going to paint everything else. And if I look at this bird, right, there's dark here. Around the beak, it's probably a little thick. I'll just loosen that up a little bit. Around the beak, I don't want to paint the beak. Right around here, kind of up to the head, and for whatever reason, these ravens have this, I almost said a hair growth right over their beak. It's not hair, of course, it's a feather growth right around or right on top of their beak. And I've drawn on, and I'm going to leave it on as just a little light spot right around his eye, or its eye, her eye, I don't know, I'm not exactly sure. Because that helps to highlight the eye a little bit. And I just want to leave that in there. And so to me, this dark area looks something like that. And I'm going to blend it out kind of in every way. And so if I'm doing this too fast, if there's something that you're not quite getting, let me know. I'm trying to work quickly. My paper was damp and it's drying, and I don't want it to dry all the way out. But just let me know. And if I had pre-wet this, I could have taken my time and done a lot of extra work here. Can do the same thing now by wetting the edge and pulling it out. I just don't want to. I want to do everything I can not to have a hard edge. So I'm going to pull that color up a little bit more around that eye. Let me tighten that down. I think that's better. And some more dark in here. Maybe I can give a little down his chest here too. And if we can connect these in some way, shape, or form, so much the better. All right. I'm actually pretty happy with that. There are a couple of feathers back here aside, right, that need some color. Up here, let's give one here. We'll get to these ones in a second, but this comes in up to there, and you can start to see some of the madness. We can see some of the feathers coming to life. Just a little bit. Okay, let's see. Bicycle Print. I'm so annoyed with people at Costco. All day in the last 2 days, people are stupidly panic buying. Oh, yes, because of the hurricane and people wanting everything. Now, if lived in the hurricane area, I wouldn't care. It makes sense, but in Arizona, oh, well, that's weird. My neighbor has a big bird bath, and man, all the birds hanging out and saying goodbye to each other before winter. Yeah, there you go. Okay, so I've got this dark area, and it's kind of drying. And so now we've got the opportunity to work on this area up here, which has been sitting and drying, and there's not much going on here. So I have pre-drawn a couple of the feathers. You can let me let you see it one more time here. Reference photo. Come on, reference photo. Whoops. There you go. So I hope you can see that. Just off of its back, kind of like where its shoulder would be, there's a group of feathers. Then just down its back from there, there's a line of feathers, and then there are some feathers that break apart a little bit further back than that. So you're going to see that right here, right there are the first feathers that I want to designate, and these kind of are a large group of feathers. I don't need a whole lot of color here, but just enough to let everybody know that there's something there, right? And we're starting to build a little bit. Here's some additional feathers. Oh, I hope I didn't get this damp over here. This comes all the way down. I think I got this. Okay. Here's an additional row of feathers. It just looks like a kind of a bumpy line at the moment. We'll come back and we'll add to that, and that will, I promise you, this will start to look more like feathers in a couple of minutes. But there's a little row of feathers there. And then all the way back here, I've got a feather here. And a feather here that we can kind of detail in. And this is, this is not a highbrow technique for doing anything. This is basically just a little bit of negative painting. Here's all this is. But it's a really effective way to make something stand out. It looks like a lot by doing a little, and I'm kind of all for that because, right, if we can do anything to help make what we're doing stand out that little bit more, let's take that opportunity and do it. Looks like I need just touch more color in here. Make that stand out maybe just a little bit more. Can you all see? Can you all see the feathers here? And then let's see. Then I'm going to do this. This has got a little bit color going back this way. Basically, what I'm doing is I'm just saying, here's some color groups that aren't all that big that we can just drop a little bit of color on and call it good. There we are. This can get blended out a little bit. Perfect. Okay. So now we can start to see his back, some feathers and his flight feathers here. We've got this dark area underneath. We really need to darken this up, but we need to define a couple of spaces in there. You guys are you gotta oh, everybody's talking election, hurricane, and Costco. I'm gonna you guys carry on with that. I'm gonna carry on with this. I think you're doing great. But what I'm gonna start to do as I move forward, I've got some black down here in the corner. Whoops, I don't even know if you guys can see that. I'm just gonna wiggle my brush into that. Just start to add a little bit of black. I don't need a whole lot quite yet, but I do want a little bit of black. And there's this little area here that I'm going to paint around. All right, this can come all the way back here. This is all really a dark area. So this is our third layer of paint in this particular area. Right, if we're keeping count. And for a little painting like this, 3 probably is sufficient. You know, if you really want to build up some color here or some depth, you want to make it the more luminous you want to make this, probably you could go a little less intense on the color and an extra layer or 2, and just keep building that up. One of the cool things about watercolors is, of course, the more layers you build up, the more time you spend building up layers, right? So if you were to do this layer that we have in 3 here, if you were to do that in 6, it would be a lot more luminous. There would seemingly be a lot more light that would come through there. And you'd be able to tell in your final painting, your final draft, whatever we're calling it, that there would be quite a bit more light coming through. That doesn't mean you can't do it in 3, doesn't mean you can't do it in 4. It just means that there's an opportunity to do it just slightly differently. I'm just going to continue to mix my paint here. You guys are talking bananas. I don't know what you guys are doing. All right, I've got some color here. I can touch with this. I just want to make sure that this little flap stays a little bit lighter. I'm going to pull some of this color out this way. Yeah, I think it's starting to look really nice. We're starting to see some real definition on this bird, right? He's starting to look like a bird. We're starting to see that there is some interest in what we're painting here. Let's get some color back there. And I actually like that this paper, so this is Fabriano paper, like I said at the beginning, or for anybody who wasn't here and you've neglected to ask, or you were waiting for me to tell you, this is Fabriano paper. I actually got this particular paper about 3, 4, oh gosh, well, no, probably 4 or 5 years ago. And it's been sitting in a drawer over here. I've been trying to clean out my studio a little bit, and I found it. I'm trying to use it. Not quite as nice as my normal paper, or as quite as nice as, I guess I would say, I don't like it quite as much as Arches paper. That's not to say it's not nice paper. It's just not quite what I'm accustomed to. But it's buckled a little bit here. It's buckled a little bit. I think you could see. Yeah, you can totally see that buckle there. But it's allowed for a little pocket of color in there, which really might help us in the long run. Might help to add some definition, some interest to this. Okay, so I've got this bird now. Big wet area here, wet area here. I'm going to come up and I'm going to paint a little bit of the branch that this guy's sitting on. I'll try to do it in not too bright of colors, given that we're trying to do a little bit more of a Halloween theme. It's a little hard for me. I'm not a big Halloween-y person, but that's okay. We'll do it. I guess we don't have to strictly make it a Halloween kind of a thing. That's much too much paint. Oh, I got enough paint there for this whole side to go through. And I do like painting trees and sticks and twigs and stuff like that, because there's no wrong way to do it. If you want to make some moss growing on it here, you put some moss on it here. Oh, that's maybe not exactly the color I wanted. There we go. Let's dull that a little bit. Right, if you want there to be a bit of a darker area below the bird, we just put that on. It's a stick. There's no right way, no wrong way to do this. We just want to get some color on here and make it look real-ish. Whoever our viewer is going to be, their eyes will tell them that we've done it right. A little bit more of this blue over here, I guess. Something like that. I don't know. By the time we're done with this, it's going to look wonderful anyways. Maybe it's a little greener coming up here. I don't even know you guys. We have a zero. Okay, you guys are talking zero sugar foods. I don't know anything about it. I don't eat zero sugar, zero fat stuff. I don't know anything about what you guys are talking about. I really don't. All right, here I'm going to do this. Here's the bottom of this branch. There's some stuff going on here. Whoa, come back into focus. Maybe there needs to be a bit more blue right up here. A bit darker. I don't know, but the cool thing is you're painting a branch. This is going to look exactly like some kind of branch hanging out there in the wilderness. Just like that. It's a little craggly here and there. Maybe it's got some different colors. So I love painting. I love painting branches. You can do anything you want to with them. A little grayer down here. So I just said I don't need a whole lot of unsugared, unfatted food. I don't. I don't buy it. Right? My wife doesn't buy it. Don't eat it. I tell people this before, and everybody's like, "No, that can't be true." I'm a bit of a dinosaur. I don't even have a microwave in my house. I think 90 some odd % of America has a microwave in their house. I don't have one. I haven't had one for. I used to have one. I haven't had one for 20 years in my house. Oh, that might not be true. We had one for about a half a year because the kids needed to do a school experiment. So we went out and bought one at a thrift store. But that's it. There we go. I think that's a nice stick that this guy's on. Let's see. Bicycle family bought a sourdough kit. That sounds delicious. That sounds quite good. Okay, let's see. Okay, so got a few things going on here, right? I still like this down here. You can see there's a little bit of color change here where that warp made the color settle out a little different. This little feather patch kind of adds quite a bit of interest in here, all right, to our wings. We're gonna do more with our wings. Don't worry about that. I want to move up here to his head or her head. It's mostly dry up here. I thought I saw my name in there. Nice. Oh, Sudike saying, Michael, nice job on the feather group. Thank you. But I look up here, and now that I've put this dark down here, this dark isn't dark enough. So that's all well and good. That's cool. Wait, what's happening? Liza, okay, I'll check out because I get really irritated with what they're doing to our food supply. Okay. All right. Liza, thank you for stopping by. Appreciate it. If you feel you need to go, that's cool. I'm not asking you to go or anything like that, but I get it. I totally get it. Okay. I'm going to keep going with this. So this dried and it lightened quite a bit. I'm going to come back with another layer of paint right around where we were before and darken up those areas that I think need to be darkened a little bit, if that's a word. Right around the eye, right up to these feathers on its beak. I hope you guys can see. I hope I'm not off the page. Okay, and to me, it looks like he's got a little gill over here. If you've ever seen ravens, they do have a feather grouping. I don't have a better name for it. I'm not a ornithologist. So, a bird studier? Is that what it is? I don't study birds. I like birds. I love to look and watch birds, but I don't actually know a whole lot about them. So I don't know what these groupings of feathers are called, and perhaps they're just called groupings of feathers. I don't know. But I want to get some of this color on here and kind of around this group. And I want to leave a little bit on his head. I think I left this light a little too far back, but that's okay. I may be able to pull some of this color. It might it might look like he's bald. It just might. Let's see if I can pull a little bit of this color back a little bit here. There we go. I should say I was just laughing at myself a little bit there. I had a meeting with one of the vice presidents at work, and I think he's Ornithology. Okay, cool. So I did have it right. Current group of feathers is covering the ear. There you go. Exactly. I had a meeting with one of the vice presidents, and I always tell him he's one of the coolest guys on campus. I love talking to him. He just has to me a wonderful outlook on things. He and I see eye to eye on many things, and we have to work together on a few things. I think the world of him as a human being, and I think he does a great job. But we were talking about something this week, and I was like, you know what? I was like, my group of workers, we take our work very seriously. But if you come to our office, you're always going to find us laughing and trying to have as much fun at work as we can. It kind of horks some people off because they don't think we take our work very seriously. But I'm like, look, we take our work extremely seriously. The thing we don't take quite as seriously is ourselves. And he was like, you know what? Because that's a good way to approach the work here. I was like, yeah, the work is the work, right? We all know the work is here. We're going to do the work. But let's not overburden the work with doing a bunch of other stuff that makes it seem so heavy and dreary. Let's have some fun with it and maybe not take ourselves as seriously as everybody else does. There we go. Okay. So this was bothering me because his flight feathers go all the way out that way, and his tail feathers go down this way, and I had kind of painted them a little bit wrong. Sherry, you're loving this raven so far. Thank you. I hope you're going to love it all the way to the end. I really do. I really do. I'm going to darken up this area up here just slightly more. Okay, this whole area here, I want this to be just a little bit darker, and it's gonna taper. It's gonna have a graded wash all the way to our next group of feathers down here. And I want to do this because I want some color on its back. I don't want it to be a stark change in color, but I'm gonna paint, I don't know, the hump, his shoulder here darker and blend it up. So I want to have that line there that's dark. I'm looking at this guy. He's not looking too bad, is he? He's looking okay. You can hear them at work waiting for somebody to drop a Costco hot dog. Lala says, looks like I did a great job fixing the separation. Yeah. Oh yeah, I think I'm going to be doing more there in a minute or two, but I appreciate it. We're gonna forge forward as though I did a great job with it. And look at the stick down here. There's a lot of interest in that stick. I don't know, those colors are not right, they're not perfect, but maybe this isn't even a stick. Maybe this is some kind of rock or something. But man, look at that. It's got a lot of movement in everything in that color, all kinds of stuff. So I want to, now this is a smaller brush. I need to keep it, the trick is keep it damp enough that it carries enough paint to cover that whole line that I want to get paint on, but not so much that I get a big blurb of color on there. And then we need just to blend this ever so slightly. Like the seagulls at the New Jersey shore swooping down to eat French fries, to steal your French fries. I don't think that's limited to the Jersey Shore where they steal your French fries. I think that's just a seagull thing. I think they just like to do that. Oh, look at that. Now, where I had previously put on that color, there we go. I used that as a guide, and now it looks like that. You can really see where that wing is kind of sticking out there, right? I'm going to do this kind of the same thing on this other side. Maybe not quite as dark. Come on. This is kind of the back side of that wing. There's another, there's the there's another wing over here. Wing, not wing, feather. There's another feather over there, kind of on the back side. Oh, that feather sticks out really nicely. I got that just a little darker than I want. I'm just going to push that paint right on down. And then this little bit here, my reference photo, that's pretty black. That's kind of the inside of a feather from his other wing over there. So let's just make that black to begin with, or really dark anyways. There it is. That's going to add just a little bit of interest to our painting. There it is. Okay, so he's getting there. He's getting there. He really is getting there. I'm starting to see where he's headed. Starting to like what I see. Paint a little bit of his beak here. Now this is almost straight black. Almost straight. I want the color of his beak, at least the bottom of it here, to be a bit different than everything else. And I'm okay if there's a little light spot in there. You won't really think about it when you look at it. You'll just go, that's a beak. There's too much water. Too much water. Come on, let me get some of that water out. I could see it starting to push the pigment all the way to the outside, and I didn't want that. So I knew there was just a little bit too much water. I'm going to do the same thing with this just pure black on some of these little feathers here, on his beak up here. There we are. So we're starting to build up to get into some of the finer details, not the end details, but the end details. That was a great way to explain it. Not the end details, but the end details. Getting close to the end. These girls are pretty ballsy. Ravens are year-round birds. So, did anybody notice that during COVID, the ravens kind of took over? Did anybody else notice that? We had a couple here. I was like, oh, that's interesting. A couple, ravens. We see them every now and again. I would get up in the morning and throw snails to them from my driveway. But then during COVID, I don't know what happened to all the other birds, but man, the number of ravens around my house like tripled. They were like, boom. And I didn't know where they came from or why we had so many of them. I'd be curious if anybody else had that same experience. Bicycle Repairman says, impatiently waiting for fall weather. Well, come on, we just hit fall, didn't we? We've only been in fall for a week now. But having said that, Bicycle Repairman, I'm with you because it hit 90 here in town today, and I thought that was completely ridiculous. We didn't see 90 all summer long, and then all of a sudden autumn gets here, and we've had 2 days in the 90s in this past week already, and I'm over it. I'm over it. It's still 100 in Phoenix. Oh my Lord, Natalie, I don't know how you do it. Well, okay, I should say I don't know how you do it because I'm so acclimatized to much cooler weather. I know you've been out there for a while, and are acclimatized to a little warmer weather than I certainly am. Yes, it was so it wasn't 90 where I live, but it was in the upper 70s here at the house, which we maybe saw half a dozen times over the summer. But yeah, in town, twice this week already, we hit 90 degrees, and that's a little alarming. Like I said, we didn't hit 90 all summer long. We had a couple of days in the 80s, and I thought that was plenty. And it was warm today. It was really warm. Luckily, I cracked the window in my car when I got to work because I saw the weather forecast. All right, cool. Look at this. So all these little feathers that were here, right? I'm just going to make little lines. Instant feathers. Ta-da! Instant feathers. I love doing that. And what's neat is, as we do this, as we start to add this little bit on and that little bit on, we're building up more and more. So now all of a sudden you see this hump, and then you see these, and then you see that feather, and then you see that feather, and then you see the tail feathers, and you're going, holy cow, we really do have a dimensional animal. It tells your mind there really is something here, right? These feathers really are stacked one on the other on the other. They have to be, or we wouldn't be able to see them like that. I just think this is such a cool way. It's just some simple negative painting. Sherry, it's been cold and rainy here. Okay, send it my way. I love cold and rainy. I want a little cold and rainy. Actually, please send the rainy, definitely, because I know we need the rainy. I'm not quite convinced we need the cold. I can deal with, not that it's my favorite, but we can deal with the cold, with the hot for a few days. But we'll take the rain because we've already had, I believe, 3 fires in the area since Saturday. And we don't need any more. It's going to stay warm all through the weekend. And I project we'll have a few more fires. All right, cool. Look at our bird. This didn't quite turn out the way I wanted this to turn out. A little dark at the edge, but we'll just continue to work it a little bit. Being very careful, we'll just pull some of that color up. And then we're going to hope that the rest of it is going to kind of blend down. But I like that. Now you got that hump of feathers right there, and it looks kind of cool. And I'm going to do this too, because I feel as though he should have his shoulder at least a little bit portrayed here. Something like this. Right? That's his shoulder kind of sticking out there. I like it. I like it. I like it. Okay. I'm looking at it. I don't quite like it as much as I had hoped I would like. I'm going to pull this line up just ever so slightly. Just going to re-profile this a little bit. I like that better. I think that was just a little too high, and it was a little too dark right in that little area here, right here. And I wanted to kind of minimize that a little bit. And now I'm going to add some color back in here, and so I'll just add a little bit of interest to what we're doing. While I'm thinking about it, you know, Liza left, right? Liza left, and she would normally say this, but I'm going to ask everybody if you're enjoying this to, I'm not sure where it's at, down there or down there. Everybody hit the like button if you would help me out with excuse me, that would help me out on the YouTube algorithm. My channel will get bumped up a little bit in the ratings, and maybe more people will see it. So I would greatly appreciate if you'd give me a like there. Let's see, I'm gonna add a little bit more color on here. There's a little feather right there we can kind of highlight. I think this is a little too much. Get some of that off of there. There we go. This one's okay. All right, it's not okay. Now it's okay. Now it's okay. A little feather there and a little line here. This is just going to help to add a little bit of, hopefully, just to add a little bit of interest to the painting and the bird as we're moving along. So my question is, right, we talked about at the beginning of this, and Tracy brought it up. I don't know if Tracy's still here. I haven't seen her name come up in a while. Well, I think it was Tracy. She said something about ravens, and I went, well, you know, I've painted ravens before, and I used a different color. Oh, I know. She said she liked the sheen that was on them, and I said, well, you know, I've painted them with red and green to make my own dark color. But so I'm going to ask you all, right? We're painting a raven. Have you even thought about the fact that this is pretty monochromatic? Or have you just gone, you know what? It looks like a raven. Because I'll bet you just thought it kind of looks like a raven. Haven't thought too much about the actual fact that it's pretty monochromatic. I'll bet you. And a little bit of color on the top. Leave some of that white. Oh, I think this guy's looking really nice. I really think he's looking good. Got this little spot here that if I had to do it over again, I probably wouldn't do too much, but I can live with that. I like this underneath here. I like his wing up here. In fact, I think I'm going to darken some more of this up. I want a little bigger mass tone in here, so I'm going to do a little bit. In here, just to, right, I did almost nothing, but I've just added a little bit onto this bird to make it look a little, I don't know, a little, not a little stronger, isn't even the right word for it, but just to punch it up a little bit. Ooh, I think that looks nice. I think it looks nice. Really, I like it. I like it. Okay, cool. Yeah, I like that. I like that dark in there. I think that makes it look nice. I'm just going over this. I don't really want a hard edge in there. Oh, Tracy is still here. It's coming out really nice. Thank you. Thank you. I didn't mean to call you out. I just was... I thought you had said that, and you did, as I was remembering it, talking through it. So I wanted to give you credit for it. I got a little hard edge here I can live with. If I can just get a little bit of that to come off, I would love it, but I can't, so I'm going to live with it. I'm liking the gray on this. You can totally tell that there's some light up above, but it's still got a dark feel to it, right? It does have a dark feel to it. We could come back and put even more dark in here if we wanted to. Not entirely sure it's necessary. But what is necessary are some legs. We probably ought to have some legs on this guy. So let's see if we can get some legs. Now, I'm adding a little bit of yellow ochre into my dark mixture for this. There's no real reason that I do this other than the fact that if you make them too dark and they're just dark, they don't look lifelike. And if you add a little bit of ochre or even a little bit of like this Quiacridone Rose in there, it just warms it up a little bit and I don't know, I guess gives it a little bit more of a lifelike tone. But it's not, it's a completely made up lifelike tone to the skin because, you know, if you look at the picture, the bird does have black legs, but I feel like if you just paint black legs, they end up looking lifeless. And I don't want the legs to look lifeless, so I'm just adding a secondary color to it, is all. I hope some of that made sense. I realize that sometimes I get carried away with things and say things and they don't always make sense, but I think most of the time they do. All right. So I've got to let those dry, then we can paint in our toes and whatnot. I think what I'm going to do is paint in his eyeball. And I'm just going to use straight black for that. Like he's eating everybody's soul with this black. Well, let's hope that's not true. I'm going to do this, and I'm going to try to leave a highlight in here. For me, it's a pretty small area. So if I paint over my highlight, I do have a pen or my gouache I could use to just go back in and put another one in. I'm not really that worried about it. But if I can leave it in there, I will. I've got it. It's just not quite where I want it to be. I should say, here's the other or another problem I have with painting black. So I have bristles on my brush that are dark with black paint in them, and I'm painting on a black surface which is tiny, and my eyes are old. It's quite difficult. I need one of those little loupes or a little magnifying glass to be able to see it better. There we go. I think I've got that. I think it's acceptable. I don't think it's fantastic. I think it's acceptable. And I'm going to get the black out of my brush, and I'm going to add, and again, this is not anything you need to do, but I'm going to add a little warmth to the top of his beak here. And again, I'm doing it in the form of a little bit of yellow ochre. Maybe a little bit of this burnt umber. I want a little bit of warmth here. It doesn't need to be totally warm, but a little bit would be helpful. Oh, good, 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 good. Reading. So, Tracy, I have reading glasses somewhere. The problem is, right, my reading glasses work great for here. And then I look up and my screen where I read is an arm length and a half away. So when I put my reading glasses on and I look up, everything there's fuzzy. So if I don't wear my reading glasses, I can read everything there, but sometimes this is hard. It's a double-edged sword, I know. It's fine. It's fine. It's totally fine-ish. It's fine. It's fine-ish. As long as you guys are okay with me fumbling through a few things every now and again, I'm good with it. I laugh at myself about it. My kids in my family will laugh at me about it from time to time. We all know. I'm not getting any younger. None of us are getting any younger. We just have to have a little bit of... You have to take your glasses off to see. Holy cow. It's just one of the things we deal with, right? It just is. Oh, come on. I think I messed up his foot. I think I needed to wait till his foot dried a little bit more. Until I started painting it on. I could probably do this one. Because this one is much smaller, a lot less area. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Yes, yes. Let's see. Oh, we've got 23 people in the room right now. Anybody who's here, if you haven't been here before, please say hello. I'd love to see who you are. Maybe find out where you're from or what your experience with watercolors is. I'm usually pretty friendly, pretty easy to get along with. Part of the reason I do this is because it's so fun to interact with people. So, say hello, but you don't feel pressure. If you don't want to, that's fine. I'm happy to have you here. And if you learn something from my watercolor painting, that's even better. That's really the reason why I do it, is because I want people to be able to learn some watercolor painting and enjoy painting as much as I do. I look like an old lady when I'm live because you're absolutely correct. They work great doing the art, but you have to look over the room to see the screen. That's right. That's right. It works great to a point. Growing old is not for the faint of heart. Exactly. 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 All right, let's see. This guy's got a little bit of a... let me add a little bit of extra water. This guy's got a little bit of a shadow line down here from his feet. Let me give a little one over here. I don't think it has to be a whole lot. It's just got to be something. Make it look like he's there a little bit. Okay, I've got some claws to draw on and not too much else. I think we're pretty close to being done. Come on, come back into focus. Claws are all black. And Natalie says he's really taking shape. Claws are going to be all black. Talons, I'm sorry. Claws are what your cat has or your dog. Birds have talons. There's a couple of nice talons there. You can see. A couple more over here. Boy, he's really ready to dig into something with those. Holy cow. Patty lives in Marina, California. I'm not sure if that's up north or if that's down south, but it's good to see a fellow Californian here. I guess there are at least 3 of us in here. Welcome. Patty, I think you've been here for a while, or at least tonight anyways, so I hope you're feeling welcome in here. Okay, so now I'm going to do a couple of things, right? And I think this guy looks fine. I just think we can do one more thing. Let's just do one more thing. This is the one thing that I've been doing recently that I really think helps to make painting stand out, is really give some pop and some zing to the outside of this bird. Really make him stand off the page a little bit. I hope I didn't mix this too thick. I'll give it a little extra water here. And this is kind of where you really have to be brave. Whew, and just go, okay, it's going to work out. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get a big hair off my brush. I'm going to start right about here, and I'm going to start dropping on some strong color. All right, and that's going to come back down this way, kind of like that. And then I'm going to blend a lot of this in. All right, I've got some clean water. Blend it inwards and up. And you're going to see it's going to set this bird off a little bit. I hope it's going to set him off in a good way. It's not going to set him off by making him mad or anything, and he's going to fly off the page or anything. Right. Just going to add some pop and some sizzle, and I'm going to take a little bit of this and just pull out a feather or 2 here and there. Just rough up this edge. All right, there we go. Something like that. And I just want to make sure that I've blended this out enough. I need to do a little bit up here so that I don't have a real hard edge anywhere. And all of a sudden now, ooh, look. Now he's got a little bit more life to him. Right? This is that final step that you can take. You can do something like this. Everybody can do something like this. It's I will admit there's a fine line between outlining what you're doing and putting on some sizzle or pizzazz. I don't want to say that everybody can just do this and it's going to work out great all the time, because it might not. It took me a while to figure out the thickness of some lines or the areas that you might want to put some things. But in general, right, we can put in, I'm going to do the same thing here. I just going to, right, put some bumps and some lines on the edge of this. Right, this is maybe, he's a crow. He's been chasing people around all morning. He doesn't have all of his feathers all tucked in exactly right. That's the other thing you have to do when you do this, is you got to tell yourself a story. You got to make up a little story for yourself. Right? That always helps. Always helps. If you can tell a story about whatever you're painting, you can paint anything. Right? You can paint whatever you want if you can tell a story about it. And that's not from me. I didn't come up with that. That's a Bob Ross original kind of a thing there. Right? I'd love to take credit for that, but I can't really. Okay. Cool, cool, cool. I love this technique. I think this is just absolutely fantastic. Whoops. Just being able to take some extra color and throwing it on here, and in many instances you take something that was you know, it was nice to begin with, no doubt about that, super nice, but you can make it and just give it that extra sizzle, give it that extra something. I guarantee you, if you do this and you hang this up in your house, in your office, something like that, and people come by and they look at it, they're going to take a second look at it, and they're going to take a third look at it, and they're going to go, you know what, that's really nice. And how do I know that? It's because I've got several of them very much like this hanging up in my office, and it happens several times a week that people come in and they go, all right, that's not just a whatever, right? It's not just something. There's something extra to that. And I'm like, yeah, hey, yeah, you know what? You're right. There is. Get a little bit under here. I might let that come out a little bit. Under his chin, right? Just bring that out that little bit extra. And blend it up. Ooh. And then take this little smaller brush and just pull some of this, pull a couple of things out. Just rough up that edge a little bit. Oh, yes, yes, yes. Now tell me, how does he look? Oh, there he is. It would help if I put him on screen, wouldn't it? Oh, I think he looks great. I think he looks fantastic. And you know what I really like now? Is that this line that comes down, and you saw me, I put it on, right? I put it on, and you're probably going, oh my God, look how thick he's putting that on. And I blended it out, and it just all kind of went, ooh, and colored back in and blended way out. So I don't have this huge, thick, massive line here. All right, I have a little bit more up here, but I don't have this huge, thick line down here. But what I do have now is this nice separation between this back leg and his stomach here, or his breast here, right? It just adds that nice, not super natural, but more natural look to it. And I just want to see one more thing, if I can just add a little bit of something. Take that little tiny bit of edge away. It's got, I think I got it. There we go. Oh, I like it. Okay, I'm going to sign this. I think he's done. Something fell off my desk. I'll sign him here. There he is, and ta-da! Looks like he had a busy morning and needs a spa day. Oh, you're talking about the bird, right? Oh, I think he looks pretty good. I like the way he turned out. So, okay, let's get. Do I have one that's got a different color end on it? I got a blue one over here. Let's go with blue. Okay, so a little self-reflection on this. Okay. I do like that little bit at the end. I think really helps to set the border and helps to anchor this and honestly pull a bunch of this together, right? This was okay. I put that extra bit on there, and now it's got a little bit of a roughed edge. Maybe you can't even see. Just look, there's just a little bit of a rough edge on there. I think he looks great. I love that. I think I fixed some of my tail feathers down here. I think this pushes this tail feather. I could probably even darken this up a little bit where it goes underneath. But I think for the most part I fixed that, or I didn't quite get that painted right. Love the variegation in here, right? A little darker patch here, a little lighter patch here, a little darker, a little darker. I don't want to have a solid color, right? I'm okay with having a solid color as long as the color isn't solid. I don't want to have just a flat wash. I want my flat wash to have some life in it like this, right? A little darker area, a little lighter area. I think that looks fantastic. I like the branch. I always like doing branches because you can do anything you want to, and you look at it, and your brain goes, "Oh, ooh, that's a branch, or that's a rock, or something like that." I guess if I were to have anything negative to say about this, and I'm fine to say some negative stuff about my own painting, is that I think Tracy was right in her initial assessment that part of the coolness of looking at black birds, especially black birds, and I have 2 black chickens, and so I can see this on them, is that their feathers have the little iridescence to them. And if I really were going to do this, if I were really going to say I'm going to give this to somebody as a gift or something like that, probably what I would do is I would take a little bit of my Phthalo Green or maybe even my alizarin crimson. I would really water it down, really make it light, and put just a light glaze on, or part of it be a green glaze, and maybe part of it be a Phthalo Blue glaze, and part of it be an alizarin crimson glaze, really light, just so you get that little extra hint of color. I think that would really make this pop. As it is, though, I don't have any problem with it. It's going to go to my office with me, and it's going to end up on my wall, and I really like it. And what I really like is that you guys were willing to spend an hour and a half here with me. I had to look to see how long I've been online. An hour and a half here with me to help me have a wonderful end to my Wednesday, as you always do. So I want to thank everybody who has been here with me this week, everybody who's come in. I hope you all have a great rest of your night. For those of you on the East Coast, this is probably going to end your night. But for everybody else, have a great rest of your night. I hope you have a great rest of your week. I hope you have a great weekend. And I hope you're able to come back and be here with me again next Wednesday when we do something else Halloween-ish related. Now that it's October. Oh, and a break from the heat. So until then, everybody, thank you so much. Bye-bye.